Oh, all right, guys, we are live. I do not know how I went 25 seconds without realizing that, but yeah, I'm setting up my Instagram notification. I thought I had a little bit more time, so just give me 1 second. And still haven't gotten this process down with the timing of posting on Instagram and getting the live feed up and all this. It's a one man show, so um, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get to it. So we have my um geez. Okay, so we have the login screen here, and this screen is excuse me is actually going to be controlled not by default, but this will be when you navigate to a specific URL. So that's gonna use something called routing, and Angular has a lot of documentation on how to set that up for your application. So I'm just gonna pull these over from my other screen. And let's see here. This is okay. So these are two tabs for the same thing. So this is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be setting up this stuff here, this lazy loading, and this allows us to navigate from one screen, technically component. However you want to get down to the name stuff. You're gonna pretty much going from one component to the next. Not necessarily a component, meaning that each page is a single component. Each page can be a combination of components. So I guess it's better to say one screen to the next. So that's what we're going to be doing, and I want to use something called lazy loading. Actually, let's just close everything and then start from scratch. So I want to use something called lazy loading, and the reason is because it saves space. Have you ever gone into a website and when you're on there, it just takes forever for it to load? And the reason that is because whatever resources that they're pulling in probably are pretty hefty. So if you have a website like what I have where user experience is very, very important, you don't want that thing to take forever to load to pull in all of this information if it doesn't have to. So you can pretty much just load one page at a time and work your code that way, so that way you save your resources, so that way you don't have to sit and wait for all of the information to come. So that's pretty much the cusp of it. And while I'm at it, I did make some changes to the code here. For instance, these form controls are fully functional and they return the response. I can't remember I got to that degree of it last night, but also the way that these messages are now showing and the colors here. I did play around with this earlier to make the color the primary color. So now that you see this color now matches the background, which it was slightly off the last time we tried to do this. I actually created my own custom theme, and you'll notice it more with the button when you'll see how the button blends in. So I'm just gonna hit a bunch of stuff, and you see that these are the exact same color as the background. So I figured out how to get a custom theme going on, and the best way I can think of telling you guys this is I went here, and pretty much you don't really have to memorize anything except for this part. All of this stuff you can copy and paste from somewhere else, but this is really the key part that sets up your colors. So by default, when you go into in order to do this, you have to do quite a few things. Let me see which browser I use to do this. Okay, so here, this is the material. This is like material design. When you think about materials, so the same kind of concept with the components, they call it material components. And this is all stuff that's created by Google. So Google gives you a lot of stuff for free. And actually, I believe, I want to say Angular is somehow tied to Google. So I was very ambiguous with that because I remember hearing it was actually, I believe it's a language written by Google, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, the part that we're focusing on is these kind of color schemes here. So you can set your primary color, your secondary color, and what that means is this thing at the top is like the primary color, and then over here, as you can see, actually, I'm sorry, this is the primary color, and this is the secondary color, and then I guess this is kind of like an alternative for some other stuff. But these colors come from this thing. You can pick these colors here, and these numbers are just the numbers that you use here, and it's just about the level of brightness. So this is like the default for the color, and then what they do is they give you colors that are darker and lighter of that same shade, and they try to keep it within, I guess, a specific I think it's the with the brightness. So there's just literally the same color, just different levels of brightness. So all of these, you'll see they're probably just literally lines up and down on the same spectrum. Like it's probably all, here. All of these colors are the same color. They're just different shades. And this is really how, if you know exactly which color you want, let's say you found some kind of picture, you looked at it, you inspected it, you got the hex code from it, and you would say, I want this specific color. And maybe it doesn't fit into one of these categories. If you're doing this ambiguously, you might be okay with one of these categories for one of the pre-built colors. But I didn't want that. And I know before you guys saw me do the material themes thing when I installed this not too long ago. So I now decided that earlier I wanted, well, not earlier. Earlier I had some time, so I was like, okay, let me hurry up and change this before I get online because I didn't know how long it would take me to learn it. And it's actually not that bad. So what I had to do was I had to create another file that actually creates the custom, that has those custom colors for me. So in order to create your own custom color, you would think you can just literally take this part right here and just throw it up in here. At least that's what I thought. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna create a thing. I'm just gonna put 500, blah, call it the color, and that'll be it. But the problem with that is you have to have like a spectrum of colors. So you have to have a few colors in this thing. So you don't have to go as far as I did, but you do have to get a few colors in here to make this thing work. So you probably could have did like maybe this one, and this one, and it might have worked. But I used a third party to create this for me because developers are very lazy people. Like, I mean, that's probably why if you're a good developer, you're probably somewhat lazy because that's the whole purpose of development. You trying to find other things to do stuff faster, better, whatever. Let's see if I can find that website that I used because it was something I found in a forum, and online forums are definitely your friend. So is this it? No, that's not it. Let me see if I can find that really, really quick. Because if you want to create your own custom theme, like you already have your colors picked, you're set on it, you want it, this is what we need right here. mcg.mbitson.com. That is what you want. And what you can do is you literally, you don't have to worry about this. I tried to change the name and it didn't work. So I just said forget it. So only thing you have to do is you can go here. If you know the hex code for your color, you can pick it. And let's just go with a very nice blue here. And you see nothing's changing over here. Nothing's changing yet. Well, seems like it did. So let's say I was set on this blue. And you see how this changed? And if you pay attention, here the hex code for this blue is here. If you look at the 500 value, it's the same code. So the 500 is like the default normal color for the normal hex code for the color, and then it just has varying degrees of brightness. And I believe these down here are like your alternates. So this is great. So I just literally clicked this button here. I clicked, I clicked this one because this gives you the SCSS, and you can see the file extension that you need. If you're using Flutter, you got your Flutter stuff. If you're using React, you got some stuff for React. And if you're using Angular, you're more than likely going to want to use this because Angular JS is no longer a thing. So I don't think I'm not sure if it's like end of life or anything yet. I just know that at this point, this is the new Angular. This is what Angular is going to be supporting. So get this version, the Angular JS2 Material 2 format. You can literally just copy and paste that into a file and then use it. And then after you do that, in order to actually, I created the file here, pasted it in, and then the next thing that you have to do is you can change the name, because as you saw here, it gives you a name. You can change the name here in your actual code. Keep the $sign because you do need that. It's like a SAS variable. So this SCSS, some people say SAS, so I just pronounce it SAS. I'm not sure if that's really what it is, because I did see the SASS, and that's I don't know what that is. But anyway, so if you see me say SAS, this is why. So if I'm wrong, because there's this other .SAS stuff, you know, I don't know what that is. So forgive me. So back to here, right? So now that we have our custom color created, we want to have our primary color, and you can have options. So you do have to set it up exactly like this. And what this does is this imports other settings and setup from previous. I'm not gonna say from the previous, but from the core Angular material theme setup. So since we're using Angular material theming, this is what we want, because this is what populates the colors on the buttons and all of that stuff, and it makes it really really easy for us, because we don't have to try to keep track and have the hex codes and all of that. We can set it here, and then we can refer to these in our buttons and on other things in the material components. So this is really good. So we have, so you do need these, and then this import here is the import for your file. So you want to import this thing, so that when you make this reference to custom, your custom purple, like how I named it here, custom purple, you want to grab that 500, and that's going to be the specific color that you designated. And you do have the option to add different variations of brightness. So you can go in here and put a lighter color or darker color if you wanted to, but you don't have to. And I picked some other colors for like an accent color and a worn. This worn, as you see when we look at our red here, when the when the form's invalid, it's a much purer red, much more pure red. It's brighter, it grabs your attention, it's like, hey, something's wrong. And then I also disabled the login button, because I want to save users time. I don't want them to submit anything that I already know is going to be wrong before it even hits the server. So this just protects the user, because it's now more intuitive if something's wrong. And then thanks to the form controls and the form grouping with Angular, some of these dialogues are automatically populated. So right now, the email form control is in edit mode. It's like, okay, you're currently editing. Once I click out of it, I'm not editing anymore, and my error message is not showing. So that is a problem. So what we'll do is we'll pick up coding right there. So we'll go ahead and attack that issue. So if I can find the TS. So here, oh, and I did find that error we had yesterday. The error was that in the HTML somewhere, we were having some kind of error message in the Google Chrome console, and the error was something about using the form control name without the parent. Well, when I copied this, somehow I had this form control name password down here, and that's what the error was. It wasn't an error with the stuff that worked. It was just an error like, yeah, hey, you had an extra, form control name thing where it shouldn't have been. So that was the issue with that. So now I just want to check the error message, because now I know that I'm missing something. So I'm going to go back to this TS file, and I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that. Oh, I am very sorry that I'm kind of jumping around. I do want to hit one last piece before I continue. When we changed our color, we changed our theme, we had to link to this somewhere else. So this is the theme file that we created that hosts our theme, and it also sets our primary color from using the custom color that we had. But in order to do that, we had to change this file here. So initially, when we used the default settings and we just picked that deep purple amber combination, we used the pre-built Angular themes. So instead of using this, you have to go and look for this styles array, because that's what this thing is. It's an array, and you have to set um, the relative path for the theme file that you used, and then you're done. You don't have to do any further setup. It's pretty simple. You just create the files, and then you just say, hey, in styles, I want you to connect to this theme. Boom, done. So that is what I wanted to hit before I got into anything else. And I did remove app from the component selector. And the reason for that was I kept getting this error to say, hey, your selector needs to have app in it, and I don't want it to have app in it. I want to call it when I want to call it. So that's that. And then now back to where we were, because I think what's happening here is I thought that doing the email validation on this thing would show, hey, the email is invalid, but I'm not seeing email invalid showing up here. So I'm not sure why this is happening. So what I'm going to do is dig into this. And I don't need this tag to show this way. So I'm certain that the email is registering because the background text is still red on the form. So I know that's at least working. There we go. Okay, so it was just a matter of a bit of a cleanup on this thing. I think because I used the special string field, it didn't pick it up. I guess I don't know why it doesn't do that, but it didn't pick it up because now we're getting it. So we're saying, okay, email valid. So we're good. And I like this. It's very responsive. And this is like that mat error. So this space is actually reserved, as you can see between the two things. This space is reserved for this mat error. And that's as soon as you create that component. Excuse me. And now we can go ahead and move on. So now we have to worry about routing. And this is actually going to be something that's pretty heavy when you really think about it. And I'm going to try to use my Ubuntu terminal because I'm a bit rusty with this. And I'm not sure if when I go in here, if I have to install Ubuntu on, I mean not Ubuntu, I'm sorry, if I have to install my Node stuff on this particular file system. I'm not sure what's happening here. Okay, there we go. So I want to do CD, and it's pretty complex because I'm using Linux on Windows, and this should have a bunch of stuff so I can. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, this is why I like Linux, because of the commands. I'm more familiar with them, so I got to figure out how to get to my mount. And when I say mount, it's a specific directory for connecting to your real system. So right now I'm in like a Linux system right now, so it's technically separate from my Windows. How do you say Windows terminal? I'm gonna say I'm in like a different system altogether. So I have to keep going back. I went up 2 levels, and then I have to find this MNT, and this is mount. So I'm gonna do CD mount, and I'm not sure what's in here, so I'm just gonna hit tab on that, and then this. So it seems like when I get here, I'm actually back in my Windows stuff from the top. So what's this? Yeah, so I seem to be in my Windows. So I'm just gonna do users. User slash. I thought my tab completion would at least work. So maybe it's users. And I think that's the part I left off. Yep, there he is. So and here you see my tab completion stuff work. So just very little stuff, you know. It just makes all the difference for me. So now what I want to do, I want to CD down into this, and I want to do this app, and then I want to do npm start to get that server running. And right now it's saying not found RAM. So I'm actually just going to copy this because I'm not sure what's causing this error. It's something to do with, since I'm using the Linux system but technically on a Windows computer, I don't know if I have to install those specific packages for it to work or what. So let's go ahead and check this out. Before following the steps below, first restart your cell. You can install a node with the npm and Windows PowerShell as well. So if you've done that, it won't work properly for the subsystem. That means you have to install it twice. Okay, so that makes sense. So you have your regular system, then you have your subsystem. So you do have to install it again. And as you see here, the commands are a lot different. So what I'm going to do is just follow those instructions. And actually, I'm going to use something called Brew. Reason being is I think Brew is a little more simple. And something I actually just learned about today. So this will be interesting. When I learn new things, I try to implement them as much as possible. And this is an opportunity, so I'm not going to take advantage of it. So I should be able to do that and install Brew. And this Brew is actually something for, it's short for homebrew. And it's still not liking this. Huh. Thought for sure I had it this time. Okay, so let me see if I have some kind of space in here or something. Actually, I think I need to do sudo. So sudo in Linux gives you administrative privileges. So it's like run as administrator, but for Windows. Thought I had the passcode right. What the heck? Alright, so apparently I don't know what my sudo password is. Okay, so that's one thing there. So I'll have to do this offline because, again, I don't know how long it'll take me to get past that. So I'll go ahead and continue with the regularly scheduled program. So we are in our terminal, at least approaching it. Here we go. So we're going to cd into programming. And then I want to do slash, is it, wait a minute. Yeah, so you see here I can't do tab autocompletion. That alone is a pain in the butt. And then we're going to do npm start. And then I think if I hit Control T, it should open a new one. It's not as convenient as the old one. Okay, so it's already in use by what? Oh yeah, I forgot. So am I running it over locally here? Yes, I am. So I'm gonna stop it here. And actually, yeah, I'm gonna stop this here because we're gonna still have to do some stuff in there. So I want to run it on this terminal, and then I can just hide it. And actually, I want to view it just so I can see it kick up, and then we'll hide it. So just give it a second. There we go. So now that build process is starting, and we're gonna have to do quite a few things here because we're going to move some stuff around in this thing to set up routing. And while this is building, let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be doing. So I'm just going to close this because, yeah, so I got all that going. And I opened the browser, but it's in one of my other screens. So I'm trying to figure it. Actually, I don't need this one. So actually, I need the same one that we're hosting our site on. So let's not save the password for that. And we're going to go straight from the top. So the first thing we're going to have to do is set up our router, because right now we have our app module control and everything, and this is not what we want, because if the app module controls everything and it's right here in these imports, this means as soon as your application is loaded, like before your application even like renders on the screen, it's already loading up everything that you put in there. And you don't want it to do that because it's a very wasteful way of loading in your resources. So we know we need to import that stuff. And then we're going to do some digging into something called shared modules. And shared modules is going to be something for stuff like HTTP client module, probably this browser animations module, and some other stuff that is going to be used across the multiple components, because you can really only import and use these things one time. So once you import it, it's like, if you try to do it somewhere else, you're going to get an error about a duplicate import. So you got to be smart about how you set that stuff up. And now you'll get to see in a second. So like here, this is like a common module, and actually I think this is an Angular module that they give you, if I'm not mistaken. Imports all basic Angular directives and pipes. Yep. So this is something that's really important as well to have. So we'll get to that later, because we'll import the common module. I believe we import it here because it's common. Everybody uses it. You need it everywhere. But yeah. So let's go down into our our login module, and then we're gonna go back over to the lazy loading setup. So the first step is imports and root configuration. I feel like I'm a little too far down. Yes. So this is what we want to hear. So, and I believe this is in, which file is this? As follows, step by step. Okay, so we already created the application, so we're a level deeper than that, and we could have generated, so we can actually generate full R components this way using the terminal. I just didn't do that initially because I wanted you guys to see what it's like to set up a component. So since I've shown you guys that already, I'll probably be doing it this way from moving forward. So just keep that in mind. And then now the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and grab this code here, because we're going to need this to set up our routes. And we're going to go into the app routing module. And in this module, you see it's already there. We didn't even have to do anything. So I'm just going to, copy paste. So this right here is going to be our first route path. So for the time being, if I remember correctly, the route that we want to go into is going to be admin/login. So this is the routes that we're hitting, and then we're going to go and say, hey, once you get to this thing, we need you to load in the module. What module are we going to be loading in, right? So we want to import the module here, and this is going to be where we set up the login module. Login.module.ts. And we can probably put this under something else. I'm just doing it this way for right now. If we decide to change the way we do our hierarchy, then fine. And let me get this straight. So is it oh, I see, I gotta get the folder itself. So login slash still didn't work. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. Delete everything, and then what's the first level up? Okay, so it's /login module. So we pull this in, and then we're saying, hey, the module, you can literally call it, once you have these callbacks, and this is actually the promise chaining that we've seen in the back end, where we do the asynchronous processes. This is the same thing, except this is more, I haven't seen anybody in Angular write their code in a way that was like async and then await on something like this, but it could be worth a try. So if you put like async here, you could probably put await import blah blah blah, and then you're gonna say whatever comes out of this thing is the module. You can say, but then as you see, it takes up more code. You say, oh, const actually we'll do await, because the only thing we're doing is get that module, and then we're going to do dot, and then what we want to do is we want to say dot login module, and that's I don't know how we did this. So too many of those. And do I need to have a parentheses here? Yeah, I screwed something up there. So in this, we're gonna do a quick fix. So if it lets me hover over the thing. There we go. So it's still not liking this. I'm gonna fix missing semicolon and then see what else is missing. White space. Disable rule, no use expression, no unused expression. Yeah, so I'm not gonna do it this way. As you see, it's more tedious than what it needs to be. This is pretty simple. So I'm just gonna do module dot login module, and there we go. Code satisfied, and then check that out. So this is what we're doing, and with this, oh, sorry about that. I actually pulled out the power cord for my display. So just give me a second to hook this thing back up. Jeez. There we go. And I actually just realized I didn't even have my webcam on. I'm not even sure it's going to pick up now. So, too many things going wrong already. But everything is good to go now. And I'm not sure if I can refresh my setup. I'm a little afraid to do this. Let's see. So, let me see if I can get my camera going. Because didn't even realize I wasn't streaming. I mean, I didn't even realize I didn't have video up. Okay, there we go. So now you guys can see me. So there we go. I think we're back. Yep, we're back. So what we had to do is put in this load children. This literally just tells it, hey, load in this module. And then in this module, we might actually end up putting this in a bigger module. This might be like, we might create a module called admin, and that'll just handle the whole dashboard, and everything within that module will route. So I guess I should just go ahead and do that now. I'll do it later, and then I'll just modify as we go. So you got admin, so let's log in, boom. That's how we want to do it, because if you remember, a lot of the dashboard, when you get to the actual home page for admin, is going to look a little different. So I want to keep that reserved for the admin logging in and seeing the dashboard without any selections. So if Adobe XD does not take 1,000 years, I can show you guys what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about is any year now. And again, this is pretty much some of the things I'm just trying to prevent. Again, but in this particular case, everything you need is right here. So it takes a while to load that stuff in. But this is it here, right? This is the dashboard. So, I mean, it could be /admin/dashboard. But, you know, why not just leave it /admin? Because this is admin. This is your home base, right? So we can just leave it like that. And who knows, this might change. So I don't want to give it anything too particular right now, right? So then you have these extensions as well. So it'd be admin/project, admin/post, admin/whatever. So let's just keep admin free, and then this will be the actual admin page that we will direct to. So let's go ahead and set this up. So once you create your route here, you don't have to register with the app app module. So I can actually go ahead and pull this out, and what'll happen is it's still going to break right now because we're not done. So I'm not going to save just yet, but what you have to do is you have to use something called these router links, and this is what actually helps set you apart. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm not going to do the buttons because I don't want those to show up just yet. I just want to get the router outlet stuff set up, and I will set up the buttons on this page. I just didn't want to, like I said, I'm trying to do things one step at a time. So let's go ahead and grab this router outlet, and that's what we're going to actually use to load in our app. Yeah, so right here in the app.html, instead of putting this in here, we're just going to drop this one line. Boom, router outlet. So now the router's like, okay, so then everything that needs to be used is loaded up right here in the router. So I believe that's the last thing we had to do before you run. So if we save all of these changes, now we're saying, okay, we have a router set up. If you go to this specific path in the router, we know to connect to it. And here and keep pay close attention to this, because we're going to use this structure later, and in this case it's the root. So the root is where we're going to register all of our extensions, so that's why it's for root, because this is the core. And then from here on moving down, we're going to have other things, because once we go into the other components, then it's going to be we're going to have for children instead of for root, and that'll be about it. So now let's go over to the app, and there's nothing here because we said we had to be at /admin/login. And let's see. I'm trying to think about what's happening with the proxy. Oh, it seems like so it's having a problem going there, because right now it's like we're creating a GET request from the server, and that's not really what we're trying to do, because we don't have a GET set up there. So I didn't think about this one actually. I'm also thinking about what happens if I put something on here that doesn't let's just go ahead and check this out, because right now what we're looking at is the difference between front end and back end. So that's really what it's saying, hey, we sent this request off to the back end to get some stuff, and we didn't get nothing. So let's go ahead and figure out what's going on here. Error occurred while trying to proxy to localhost 4200. So we're gonna go here and say, excuse me, and I'm just gonna do this because it could be anything going on here. And the reason why I did it this way is because I don't know what exactly is causing this. Again, I know it's something going on with the front end and back end, but I don't want it to make a GET request to the server when it doesn't have to. Actually, I did forget that the server actually isn't up. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to open another terminal. Actually, I can open up a separate terminal. I forget that I can have multiple terminals here, but I don't like to switch between the back and forth between the two. So let's go up one level. Actually, I think this is at the base. It should put you at it's going to put you in the base directory that you opened up to. So I can just do npm run dev here, and we should be good to go. Boom. So we've got that, and we need to I'm actually just going to refresh this and see what happens. It's more than likely okay, so nothing happening on the server side of things, but seems like here it doesn't want to load up. And I forgot one more thing. We need to connect to the database. So let me keep the database open. Compass. Okay, so Mongo DB Compass. There we go. And it shouldn't be an issue right this very second, but it could be an issue later. So you just saw it, but then it shows error. So, and I think the problem is because let me just do Angular routing versus server routing, because I'm trying to get to a route and having a problem here. So we're delivering our content via the front end, but since our front end is what's really making a lot of requests, when we have those routes set up in Express, those routes also are listening for behavior and changes and stuff like that. So not the production one. I want to connect to the local host, and we're in. So now I can just minimize that. And again, I think it's just saying, hey, we put this thing in. Then that, since we have that proxy in there, it's proxying over to the backend server, which is causing some problems. And I don't want to change the behavior, because if I change the behavior, then I have a problem, because then I'll have to change it all once I'm done. A client-side route happens when the route is handled internally by the JavaScript that is loaded on the page. Yes, this is what I want. So I'm going to say Angular proxy routing causing error. This is not what I need. So routing, just put that in there. So how to Angular remove proxy from certain routes. So, and I think that's probably why we had to use the slash API, because if we went here and just said slash API slash I'm sorry, if we change our proxy file to be a slash API, that might be the trick that we need, because that separates what we're doing from the back end, because we won't have anything that's slash API in the back end. So I forget where I'm looking for. I'm looking for that proxy file that we created. So give me 1 second to dig this thing up. Here we go, proxy config. And I'm just gonna do slash API star as they had it. And before I save this, I need to remember to go into the services. I need to remember to go into the service and change this as well to be a slash API slash admin slash login. And the reason why I did it this way is because that slash API now helps redirect our stuff back to the backend server, and we don't have to worry about stuff. Easiest way I can think of it. So if I save this, we should have everything under control. Should. Could be some errors here still. And once you kind of hit that, oh, there we go. Didn't have to do anything. So now everything looks like it's working, right? Won't know until we do this. Okay, I think I need to do. Now we're getting unauthorized, and I think again it's because we're trying to access the. Actually, shouldn't even get anything here for slash admin slash login, because that should have been redirected somewhere else. So at least we know our backend is working as expected, but having some problems here. So I'm just going to stop this, because the proxy router as it is doesn't know that it was updated. Well, it doesn't know that the proxy was updated. So that's why we have to stop it, because in the previous stuff, I think we have to do ngserve -- open. Didn't seem to cause any problems, so I'm just going to run it. Seems like the proxy stuff is already handled. Yep. It's already handled, I think. Let's see. Aha. So, different behavior, but we're still missing stuff. Invalid configuration of route slash admin slash login. Path cannot start with a slash. Okay. So, let's just go ahead and do that. Let's remove the slash from the route. and we should have our page back. Oh, now we get something else. Browser module has already been loaded. If you need access to common directives such as ngIft and for, import the common module instead. So that's what we're going to get ready to do. So this is what I was talking about previously. So the common module Angular. And this is important because we need some stuff from this. I'm pretty sure the new word, what is the difference between? So browser module provides services that are essential to launch and run a browser app. Browser module also re-exports common module from Angular common, which means that components in the app module module also have access to Angular directives every app needs, such as ngIf and ngFor. So whereas common module, all the bases of Angular templating, bindings, and ngIf and ngFor except in the first app module because it is already part of the browser module. So let's go ahead and take a look at the docs, because we do need, oh, I think I know what it is. I think in here we have the browser module. So I think it's browser's animations here. So what's going on over here in the app module? Browser animations module. Yeah, so we're doing this thing twice. And once you have it up in your app module, you really don't need it anywhere anywhere else, because it's already imported. So if I pull this thing out, that should save us. And we're actually gonna, I believe we're gonna run into a few more problems here, being that I have these imported twice as well. So I'm actually gonna create a module for the material stuff, so that way that is available everywhere for all my components, no matter where I am. Alright, so now, okay, so this is the base page. So now let's go /admin/login. Wait, what the heck? /admin/login. There we go. So we were supposed to have our page running here. So the route worked, but the rendering didn't. And I'm trying to figure out where we'd see an error for this. So this is the juicy stuff, right? We've got to figure out how to get all this stuff up and running when we don't really have anything telling us what to do. And I think that the issue is not actually, no, it's not the button, because it should just load in the child. And I believe you have to go a step further when you do this, because the only thing we did is we told this thing, hey, in your router, actually, no. What we told this thing is, say, hey, once you go to this direction, you're going to use the login module. However, I think there's still more to the puzzle. So you set up the UI, and then what? Nope. So the CLI automatically adding each feature module to the root app map at the application level, finishes off by adding the default route. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a default route here. And what I'm going to do is have this thing redirect to where we're trying to go. And the reason why I'm doing it this way right now is because we don't have our front end, we don't have anything else set up on this thing. So it's easier to just create this and redirect it, and then we can once we start building our front end stuff, well, not our front end, once we start building the client side of the application, we can start editing that as well. So we're going to say redirect to actually we can say admin/login, right? So that's what we're going to do, and that's all we have to do. So if I save this, it should redirect right to it. So now we don't have to worry about doing this manually anymore. It's supposed to make this work better. So I'm actually just going to close that if I can, and then do it over here. There we go. And we have to find a way to handle this route to say, hey, once you get here, you need to load up this. You need to start at this component, because just like how we have here in these routes where we set up everything that's going to be happening, we got to do the same thing over in the module here to do this. So we also need to import, just like how we did in we're gonna exit. So just like how we have here, like I said, when we have this imports, we got to do the same thing. So we're gonna go down to the login route module. Oops, too much information, I guess. In the imports, I'm just gonna pull all this out and grab that. And then in this case, it's gonna be dot for child or for children. I forget which one it is, so I'm just gonna do dot for child. And this is going to tell us how to manage. So again, as you know with a web page, you have multiple layers where in here, right, you have Angular /guide/lazy loading ng modules. Each one of those is like is another layer. So we need to control these layers and say, hey, once you go to a specific layer, this is how you need to manage it. As of right now, we don't have any way to manage it, and this routes right now doesn't exist. So I'm going to continue doing this, but I just want to take a second. Actually, no, it's the same exact way. So we can do up in here, I'm going to say const, right? Const routes equals, I think it's an array, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And it's of type routes. So that we're going to say here, that way we know, that way the code here knows what type of object we're creating, and then we just go in and drop it in the route objects. So the first one is going to be path, and this is going to be the default path, right? So the default path here is going to be blank, and then what we have to say is this needs to load in. So I think you do comma and we say load children, and then from here you keep with the same concept. Instead of modules, we're going to load up, we're going to tell it which component to deploy. Let me just take a second to look at how they did it at a deeper level. So yep, just component, so not even load children, just component. So here you're going to load in the login component, not module, component. So having that, let me address these issues, and we're good to go. Okay, so before, can bind to ng if, since it is a known property of mat error. So I need to get this common module up in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the app module here and do the common and add the common module. So the common module is just going to be common module, and it should auto import up there, and we can take a look at what's on it. So this thing, maybe not. Okay, I take that back. So I think that should help us though, because I think you put that at the core of your project. So there's gonna be a conflict in a second, so just wait for it. And it's gonna be, I thought there was gonna be a conflict anyway. So let's see what we've got. So right now, once we get here, it should have redirected us to the login screen. And since it didn't, I'm quite sure that we missed something. And I think I did. Okay, I didn't save. So now let's see if this picks up. Kind of throws me off a bit because this thing just be loading. And let's just wait for it. All right. Tired of waiting, so let's just try this again. So now things are broken. Oh, there we go. Cool. So I just needed to set this thing back up. So now we're back. We're having the original functionality that we were supposed to have. You type in the straight page, boom, you get right. You're taken right here. So this is cool. And then I can also do some cool stuff, right? Let's say I know that the route is specified as slash admin slash login slash blah blah blah. I might want to say, hey, I like, even though that's what the specific route that we're going to, I might want to just type in, williamers.com/login because that's easier to type. So what I can do is I can do the same thing like how I did on the app routing module where I'm redirecting to something else. So you can also redirect on to other places if I'm not mistaken. So let's just do that over here in the login module. So let's say, and I want to make this look a little bit better. So let's say path, right? So this is what's gonna control some things. So we're gonna say path. Oh, nope, that's wrong. So I think I don't think you can do the slash first. We're gonna say path is gonna be login. If you just type in login, you're going to be redirected and you're going to be sent to the login component. So let's just go ahead and do that. And actually I'm wrong because what's happening here is this is being forced to come here because this router is actually going to be called slash admin. This is the so this path is for admin, right? In order to get here, you gotta go through, you gotta be, sorry. So to go here, you start with the admin page. And I'm gonna have to do some research on this as well because what's gonna happen is if you're not authorized, you gotta go to be the login page. So I want the router, so over here, there's gonna have to be some logic in this thing to say, hey, if you are not authorized, you need to be sent to the login screen. So you see how all of this works, and we can do that in a few places actually. We can do that. Well, we might be able to do it here, but I don't know that just yet, so I'm not gonna play around with that too much. And I'm actually gonna put the correct login here, and then again, you just put login because it's just one path. So it's a layer. So right now, this is admin, and this is the next level. So this is all right. If you're an admin, this is at slash login. This is just slash admin by itself. So right now I have it set up to load the login component, but soon it's going to load in this dashboard that we need, right? So our next step here is actually going to be a big one, and it's going to get me slightly, ever so slightly, out of my comfort zone because now we have our app set up so that way we can pass in users that exist. So let's go testing 1 2 3, and then we can log in, right? You don't know that we logged in because of, ooh, we have an HTTP error. I wonder what it was. So let's go to the network, and this is really where you see all those HTTP requests, and you can see that on a slew of websites, whether you go on Netflix, anything like that. So we're getting a 404 to say that something was probably wrong in here. That's what a 404 says, that something doesn't exist. Testing 1 2 3, log in, and we're still getting an error. So I'm thinking maybe not such a simple error, probably because of the way we changed the the way we changed the setup here. So because we changed the way we sent out our service, we did slash API slash admin slash login, right? I'm not sure if we have to configure the backend to do the same thing. So actually what we can do is we can go and check out this thing here. And the reason why I like it is because right now we're seeing slash 4200 slash blah blah blah, right? So we can go ahead and look at the response. Yes. So I want to remove that slash API from what we had. So I wonder if there's a way I can do that, because otherwise we'd have to go into our server, and then every route is going to have that same behavior as well. It's going to have to say slash API slash blah 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 blah, and I don't want to do that, because to me it's a little bit, it's taken away from us. But by having this slash API, we're separating requests from the server to requests in the front end. And that's what I need to do, actually. Separate Angular routing route conflict with server route. So express routes. Oh, here we go. I have Angular working with Express.js, and everything for the most part is working. However, I am running into conflicts with routes in Express and Angular. There we go. And then where's this Angular route? So this is still, here's Angular. Boom. You have two different things going on here. First is the difference between the browser making a request to the server and Angular making a request to the server. When your browser requests slash funnel, it matches your catch-all route and returns the index page as you expect. What happens then is that Angular and then Angular's client router matches slash funnel to your Angular route. Since the route template is parcel slash funnel, it then makes a request to the server for parcel slash funnel and loads the result. When you direct a request slash about random page, it matches one of your partial routes, which only returns the partial. Angular makes this same request. In this basic sense, you could consider it a conflict because your server-side route should not match your client-side routes, since you need to respond with the initial load. Yeah. Typically, what I do when supporting deep linking is to keep the Angular template files alongside of all the static resources of the module. The template URL paths should all reference them statically. Express can serve them as static files just fine. The only true routes on the server, I don't want to do that. If you want to wrap in a module like you have with Express routes, then okay, so this is really not what I wanted. I use a catch-all from except I don't use regex. Not sure if it's better or worse. That way, client-side routes, when used for thinking, will fall through and always return the index page. So, I don't think I really understood that. Oh, I see. That's something a little different. So I want to just get my Angular stuff, but it's screwing up here. It's finding a basic route. So I really just wanted to set up and just get it, but for some reason it's making a request to the server. So let's try this. We say Angular router navigation makes REST call instead. Root guard, I believe. Is this what I'm looking for? Help me with a single constant Angular guard would not activate the results. Or just return the observer. Okay, that's not what I'm looking for. So that is our current problem. We're hitting this bumper here that as of right now we don't really have an issue with routing, but we're starting to run an issue because now we have to change our API request. Actually, no. Yeah, I do have to put slash API here. And when it redirects, let's see here. when it redirects, it goes to localhost 3000. However, it seems like it's still tacking on that ape/API. So I either have to add /API to all of my all of my server routes so that way they're separate, or do something else. How to separate Angular route from server route from Express. There we go. Express route. Okay, so my Angular's apps don't work when access via Express is rendering an error page instead. So I have one route /docs which serves some static content and other resources. However, slash is routed to an index.html, which is managed by Angular 2. So by opening the application root and then clicking various router links, I can get to root, etc. Yeah. However, as that isn't a registered root in my Express app, if I refresh the page, I get a 404. I want to be able to type localhost blah 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 in my browser and get that page. How do I set Express route to all? How do I set Express to route all undefined routes to Angular and let Angular handle the 404? That was very specific. Since order is important and new code is inserted in multiplication, is the whole file included? Look for comment starting with //js. Okay. So app.use/app express.static. Oh, I see. This is one way they're trying to set that up. Use absolute path. This is the same issue with relative path. The browser is requesting files. Okay, so proxy /API expects server to be /API/. So what I really want to do is have that proxy, but I don't want it to add the /API without let's do Angular proxy without changing Express route Angular. That's one way, I guess. Better documentation. Okay, here we go. Better documentation not available. You can use both JSON and JavaScript based configurations. So here uses /Angular and it just has the target here. So they just added a little bit more information about the port and all of that information. So if you have /API, then that's what it is. Localhost 3000, the config and these instructions actually didn't work for me. What did work for me was slightly different. That's what I had, so. And I think what happened was, since everything matched, I think I just need to use that. Because in this case, everything matches /API. Cool. And here we go. So now let's just do example.com, and then we do testing 1 2 3. We should be able to log in. I'm gonna clear this so I can see all the traffic. And we're still getting a 404. And again, it's that /API/login that is bothering me. So I want to say, actually I want to see what happens if I just, in the service, keep it the way it was. We're going to see that cross origin error in a second. Oop, and I forgot to put /that. So let's see. So we're gonna do will example.com. We're gonna do testing. Oops. Testing 1, 2, 3, and then hit login. Still getting that 404. Wait, actually, why didn't that work? Alright, so because if I take that proxy off, oh, it's because we've been modifying the proxy, but we never stopped the server. So I'm gonna leave it like that because I don't want all of that to go. I just want this to redirect. So if we stop it, CLS, and then run this thing again, should be in a better position. So let's hope that this works, because if this works, then we have a whole, oh, I already know that our login is not going to work. So keeping that in mind, I'm not going to change it just yet because I still want to see the error. I want to see if it's still sending everything to, oh, I won't know until I save it. So gotta do the /API oh, too many. And now we wait. So cool. So English working. And let's see if we can send our stuff off to the back end without any problems. Yes, there we go. Oh, it worked and then it didn't. So what I'm thinking is exactly what it was. So I wanted to see where the redirect went, because that's the part I can't see. So this is let's see, does Angular proxy remove /API from redirect? Using proxy to redirect requests, not redirecting. I want my request sent from localhost to be passed to the remote server I have no control of by the use of proxy, so that /API list will be resolved as separate. Actually, this is gonna be a bigger problem because now I'm thinking if I'm in production, am I still gonna have the same issues? Separate Angular route from Express. How the hell do you route? Keep API routing clean. That's not what I'm looking for. Express or Angular for handling routes. I'm totally new to everything, and I just ran the question. When I have a main stack, it seems the routes can be handled by both. Yep. For instance, if I define a route in Angular, but Express for this, if I do this. So my question is, when do you use Angular routing and when do you use Express routing? Those two serve different purposes on a single page app. The app would do all the CRUD, endpoints, for example, projects. Also, all of that needs routes because you would do something like API/users to grab all your users. Yeah. On the other hand, yeah, we know that. You could see it that way. Backend routes, those are the routes to an end user front end. We know this. My answer is, how do you separate it? I mean, my question is, how do you separate this stuff? How to how to handling, let's see this. This isn't what I want either. It's just telling you about the routing, but it doesn't tell you And let's just say express picking up Angular route. How to use AngularJS route with Express.js when a new page is requested. Express. I'm using Express, which loads AngularJS from a static directory. Numeral request localhost / in which Express serves my index HTML and all of the correct Angular files in my Angular app. I have these routes set up, which I replace with ngView. On my main page, I would create a catch-all handler that runs after your regular routes that sends the necessary data. So it seems like what I have to do is say, if I just have anything else as like a slash, it should just run on Angular. So it sounds like I do have to have that slash API, and then if anything is not slash API, then I need to let Angular handle that. App.router is the middleware that runs all of your Express routes, like get app.get. Normally, Express puts this at the very end of the middleware chain. So I don't have to worry about this just yet. I just need to be able to get my routes stuff working. So I'll go ahead and change my backend routes to have those slashes in there. So let me just take a second to do that. Models, router, cool. So all of these need to say, so actually I'm going to make it somewhat easy on myself. I'm just going to look for the slashes, and there are going to be quite a few of those. I wish I could have fixed these. But anyway, I'm just going to do Control F, look for the slash, and then the only thing I'm going to do is put a slash API on it, and then put another slash behind it because we're replacing it now. And let's just start from here. This is the first one. We want to replace this, that, and we want to do the same thing with this one. We don't want to change that one though, but we want to change this one, and we want to change this one. Oh, not that one. This one. So now we have quite a few places to do this in, but not an overwhelming number, luckily. Oops. Almost missed one. Wait, what did I just change? So this is a tedious and painful lesson because I gotta sit there and copy and paste and change it here. I'm not gonna worry about the tests, but I can't forget to change it in the test. Otherwise, I'm gonna have another pain point. But tests are, like I said, I'm not running any tests right now, so I'm not gonna stress over it just yet. But I'll try to do it once I start wrapping some of these things up. Right, because we are gonna need this stuff to all work locally, and then we'll put it up into the production and into the master code. But let's get it working first, you know. Oops, slash admin. Oops, boom, boom, and this is API slash. I'm gonna keep the same energy, and then make this also a slash admin up in here. So slash API slash admin, and then slash API slash admin, same thing, and that should be all. So now that we've got this set up, we've got a little bit more control. And oh, I did miss one. So let's check all of these. So slash API, slash API, slash API, and slash API. Okay, cool. So we've got that one going. Let's go ahead and check this again. Slash API, slash API. Good. This one, slash API, slash API, slash API, slash API, slash API, and post slash API, slash API, slash API, slash API. Okay, so we're all good here. So I'm just going to save those 4 files and check back on the router. I mean the front end here. Boom. So we actually got some success here. So perfect. So that's all we had to do to get all this stuff going. Only thing I'm trying to figure out now is, I actually do want to just do this now so I don't have to worry about it later, is to just go ahead and get this stuff fixed. So what I want to do is say tell let express tell express to let Angular handle routes. Make it Angular routes. So I've gotten the impasse saying Angular routes. I tried to do it here. That did not work. The standings. Okay, so the problem there is that once you get, I guess you have to register those routes with Express. Still not. Okay, there we go. Hey guys, so I'm trying to learn the means type, but I have some holes I want to know. For example, I've seen tutorials which use Express for routing. I've seen tutorials which use Angular for routing, but I haven't seen a single one which combines both. This leaves me pretty confused. I understand. Okay, cool. So I set up Express so that slash API slash star star leads to the logical API endpoints to query the backend, blah blah blah, while star star redirects all other routes to the main singular. Okay, perfect. My API only returns and accepts JSON. Okay, cool. So that's exactly what I thought. So what that means is that you gotta load in that index.html from Angular, and the way you do that is you go over to your, well, I don't want to do that just yet because we're still working separately. So as long as I know I can do that, we'll be good to go, and that'll be like one of the finishing touches I'll put on there. So now that we can log in, we need to do some things. So we need to say, okay, once you log in, once your login credentials are accepted, we can go ahead and redirect you to another page. That page doesn't exist yet, so let's go ahead and start creating that page. So the only thing I'm going to do before I jump into this is create that admin folder, because this is where all of our stuff is going to live. And we're going to do some just slight touch-ups here. We're going to say, and then we know with admin we got other stuff to do. So I'm going to say this one's just going to be dashboard. Right, just so you can see that the files do have, the folders are separated. And then I'm just going to pull this one out and just put it up in admin, move that, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to change the name of this. I'm going to just do F2 on this, and the reason why I'm doing F2 is so that way it can look up everything that's related to this thing and change it all together. So this is going to be admin module, And I think everything else should be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that. And we shouldn't have any discrepancies. Yes, there we go. Cool. So let's just go and make sure that our page is running. And okay, cool, it works. So now that we've gotten that out the way, we want to go ahead and get ready to create our dashboard. So let's go right in here and say new. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to delete this folder, and you'll see why in a second. So I need to go into the terminal, and I'm going to do npx ng generate component, and the name of the component is going to be called dashboard. And I think I need to say admin/dashboard, and then we want to register that with the module. We still didn't change the file name, but I'll just use that for now. And I'm gonna just go Angular Angular ng generate component. And there's actually quite a bit of stuff we can do in this thing. With this ng generate, we don't even have to do a lot of the work that we've been doing before. And you'll see in a second once I can component. Cool. So let's see if we can get to that. Alright, so you do the component and you add the name. So the name, we already did that there. Actually, let me just do dashboard. And then you have some options here. So I thought you could put the file path in there, but I guess not. And then we want to, when true, declaring exports this component. And we don't need to export anything that we're not trying to make available for other things. So we don't, now that we're not setting this thing up in the the app module, I don't believe we need that export file. Could be wrong, and we'll find out. And then what I'm looking for is, here we go, the module. So I want to go, hey, your module is going to be login, and I don't think I have to do .module. Oh yeah, so you can do --module or -m. And then the prefix to apply to the generated component selector. Don't need that, but I do want to add a suffix. So I wonder if there's a way to add a suffix. Oh, and we can just set the selector right there. So we can go selector, selector, I think. Selector equals, this is just going to be, what is this, admin dashboard, right? Let's just do that. And for now, we got enough stuff in here, so let's just go ahead and hit it and see where it goes, because I have no idea where this is going to go. And just give me 1 second. I got a phone call coming in. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Got a phone call. Certain friends you can't ignore. Slash. I guess if I just do, let's just do admin/dashboard and see what happens. I think it was right when I did it the first time. Yeah, there we go. So, and you see the dashboard pop up right there. So you do have to define, if you're nesting it in something else, you do have to define where that is in the name. So now that we've got all that set up, now let's go ahead and look at the login. I'm going to close this and open it back up. Reason being, oh, that was the wrong one. So I'm going to close this. I'm not going to save it. And the reason why I don't want to save it is because it would have overwritten the changes that were already made. So you see here the dashboard component is already loaded into the module as a declaration. So we didn't even have to change any of our code to get that working. So that's cool. And then look at this. These things are already pre-set up for us. So that's a whole lot less work that we have to do. And the template here is actually very, very simple. because looking at our design here, the only thing we have to set up is our, so we're gonna go ahead and create all of this. So we're gonna say, we're gonna start with this nav bar, and that actually is gonna be a separate component, and we're gonna load that in with everything else, and we're gonna use the routing as well. So I guess just to keep it simple, we'll just start with the dashboard component. And in the dashboard component, like I said, everything is pre-populated for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the very top, right? So I'm going to move this over to another screen so I can keep it up for a reference as I code. You guys won't be able to see it, but just know that that's what I'm using when you see my head turning. So first thing we got here is I like to start everything within a div, because that just helps me start aligning my code. If I want to apply any specific styling to it, I already have something to work with. And I like that too, because for instance, when you're doing your background colors and you're playing around with that, having those div elements just gives you access to that free space. So we really don't have much to do here. The really only thing we have to do is we can put we need some buttons on here, because ignoring the navigation up here, we just have these navigation fields, and those are very simple, because what we're going to do is these are going to be buttons, but they're going to be routers as well. And what I mean is these buttons route to new pages, right? So we have to make sure that we create endpoints for those. So I'll keep it simple as a button for right now, because since we don't have those templates working, I don't want to, actually I know what I can do. So ignore what I just said and follow along closely. So we are going to, let me see if I can find it, slash button. Oh, I spelled button wrong. Here we go. So button, and it's using a router link. So same concept, just different implementation as we did with the routers there. So we're going to do router link, and this is what determines where it's going to redirect to. And we want this one is going to be for home. So if we do slash home, I believe, right? So we call this one slash home, or really we can just call it, we can let it be nothing, right? Nothing is going to be home. And then we'll call the button, as you see here, we put in the name of whatever, what the text is going to be there. It's going to be home. And then we're just going to go ahead and close out that button. And that's it. That's really all it takes. And if I'm not mistaken, there is some additional stuff that you can do. For instance, I know you guys saw that router link active. And what that router link active does is this will be what we can use to set the class of, actually let me just duplicate this and show you guys, because I'm actually not 1000% sure. I know what it does. It's just literally like which link is active, like which route are you currently on, right? So that's what that is doing. But usually when you do this, you might only do this though, that way you can set some styling on that router. For instance, you might want, as you see in the design here, when the route is active, you are you change the text. So that's what we want to do. So this is all I have to do. So router link active equals active link. So I'm just gonna grab that and do this. And then let's see here, router link active, it's a string. It doesn't tell you exactly what it does, which kind of bothers me. This directive lets you add, CSS class on an element when the link's route becomes active. Yeah, it's literally that, right? So like I said, it's usually for styling. So, and we're gonna put this pretty much on all of the buttons. So I'm just gonna copy this and put all the buttons here. And now we have a div that controls all of the buttons that we want to work with. and we have a way to get there. So this is going to be slash post with an S, and this is going to be slash, what is this, projects. And there we go. So we have our active link on them, and what I'll just do is I'll just say dot active link, and I don't have the color all right now. I know I can get it from the documentation, but I'm just say color is blue, and that's really all I'm gonna do light blue. Let's see, light blue. That's too light. Blue gray. Navy. Indigo. No, that's purple. Blue violet. Okay, let's just go with blue for now. And then we'll say, I want to say underlined. Text. Underline. I can't believe I can't remember how to do an underline. Okay, so go here, CSS, underline. Oh, and this is my GitHub, so feel free to check out the source code there. Text decor. Oh, there it is. Text decorate. Text decoration line underline. There we go. Text decoration underline. Boom. And that's all we need. Actually, that's not all we need. Well, this is just going to show some buttons on the screen. This will be posts. This will be projects. And you're going to notice that when we save this, it'll work, but those routes that we have for posts and the what is it, the other one, they won't work. So as of right, well, another thing I didn't think about was the fact that I have no way to get there. So let's go ahead and try to get here. So we have some buttons on the screen, and that's it. So what we have to do is we're going to say we're going to do a few things. So this is not going to be a simple process at all. So first thing is we have to get our login, right? And then after the login, we want to redirect. So let me go to one of the blogs that I found the other day, because that was very helpful. Let's see. So we're getting here. This seems early. Okay, so we're getting there in this thing. Now I just gotta find it. I think this is the one I used. So now, oh, I didn't like this one, but this is what we need though. We need a interceptor, because what's gonna happen is we need to grab our authorization, and we need to get that token, and once we have that token, we need to be able to do something with that. And when I look at this thing, oh yeah, so they do the same thing, right? They got the token stored, this dot current users. Okay, that's something else that they're using. But all I need is that token. So let me see if I can find that thing. Well, I need to find out how they set the token in the header, because what's going to happen is we're going to say, all right, once we log in, you're going to do this dot redirect, I believe. So log in, right, dot pipe, you're going to get all this information, and then we're going to navigate somewhere else. So I don't see where that return URL. Oh, there we go. So let's go in here, right? So we're going to say, actually, I didn't like that one. So let me find the other one that I used. So when you go history, I'm typing in history, login. She was hiding this place. Alright. Dead in the water here, so guess this is all we have to go off of for right now. At least until I can. Oh, I know it was on medium. That will actually help a lot because I'm going to type in medium and should be able to find it in any second now. Maybe not. Thought it was medium. So let's just say Angular login. So what's gonna happen is when we redirect, I want to just check to see how we set that JSON token up in there. That's really it. Is this same? Yep, that's the same thing I found the other day. But I want to see if there's something on medium. It seems like the same person. Yeah, jeez, this dude writes a lot of stuff. All right, so I really didn't have a problem with it. I just didn't like the way it looked. If I'm being honest. So let's go to the login component and just see what he's got going on here. Services, login component. So again, once he logs in, you're gonna do subscribe to this output, and then we'll control it. And then it's got some ways for handling the errors. So let's just go and try this out. So we've got this, and then we're gonna just do a dot subscribe. Subscribe. And I think it's because I'm not returning anything from this. Yeah, that's what it is. Because I'm not returning, and because this isn't a observable, we've got some issues. But there may be another way around this. At the moment, I can't think of one. So let's go into his login service or authorization service. Control F and do service. Account service, is this it? Yep, login. So from here, he's got his user going on, API. Oh, that's interesting. Environment.api/URL. What do we got there? Environment. We're in production. So, okay, that's interesting. So, let's see. Log in. He's sending something. He's sending that user subject somewhere, but I don't know where he's using it. I don't necessarily, well, I do need to use that token. User. So here, username, password. It's got user coming on here. And he's emitting this thing, and he's returning that token. So when you do this, you're going to get a token out of this. So this dot user subject equals new behavior subject. So he's using this to do his token. And let's just read about this, right? The account service handles communication between the Angular app and the backend API for everything related to accounts. It contains methods for the login, logout, and registration, as well as standard CRUD methods for retrieving and modifying user data. On successful login and returned user, the returned user is stored in browser local storage to keep the user logged in between page refreshes and browser sessions. If you prefer not to use local storage, you can simply remove it from the account service and the application will continue to work correctly. Wait, what? On successful login, the user is stored in the browser local storage to keep the user logged in between refreshes and browser sessions. Except for staying logged in between. Yeah, that's what we want this. The user property exposes and RxJS observable, so any component can subscribe to be notified when the user logs in. Okay, so this is definitely something that we want. So that's why they created that. So that's why they did that next thing to send that up, and that pretty much once you do that next, it alerts all of the other components that something changed. So for more info on communicating between components, the user value getter allows other components to easily get the current value of the logged in user without having to subscribe to the user observable. So that is great. So where's that user value thing? Oh, okay, I see here. So let's go ahead and modify our service. So on this service, we're gonna go and we're gonna do this actually right in here. And what I want to say is, okay, so a few things. So first, we're gonna this user subject is going to be actually private. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it token. Yeah, because I'm not gonna private token equals. Actually, this needs to be a behavioral. And you look here, a behavior subject is a variant of subject that, and this is like event emitters. If you're familiar with HTML at all, it's like when something changes, like if you click a button, it's like an event, and when you click it, it emits and it notifies and it does whatever function that you called on it. And so RxJS created something similar, which is subjects, and they behave in a similar way, but I think there's a lot more that you can do with it. So they're like streams. It's like a constant flow, as opposed to an event emitter emits once. Behavior subjects can be used over and over and over again. No, not over and over again, but they're constant. A variant of subject that requires an initial value and emits its current value whenever it is subscribed to. So there you go, right? Behavioral subject, and then that's all we need there. And we did import this thing, I believe. Oh, I have to say the type, and this is going to be of type login response. So I'm actually going to change the login response. That's why I left it like this, so I can just have the token. So now the behavior subject is happy. So now when I go in here and we log in, I'm not going to return this anymore. I'm going to set this thing up here, and then I'm just going to say this dot token equals, and it can be token ID, whatever you want to do, right? Equals response dot token. Actually, no. This dot token dot how does this thing work again? I think it's usually dot next, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we do. Oh, I did a few things wrong actually. Let me just grab this. And actually, I'm gonna grab both of these. The reason being is one is going to be the actual subject, and then the other one is going to be the actual value. So this will be token subject, and we have there, and then you're gonna have private token, and then this is just going to be the value. Oh, observable. I'm sorry. I forget why it's done that specific way, because oh yeah, the observable is what you want to get the value. The behavioral subject is what you're using to send the flow. I probably still didn't describe this right. So it's a representation of any set of values over any amount of time. I gotta work on these explanations, but anyway, what's gonna happen is we're gonna do this dot token subject. Nope, forgot something here. So this will be token subject, and this will be token. And I'm changing it manually because I like to feel like I at least did some work. Login response. Right, so we don't really have to worry about too much of this stuff because it is JSON coming in. We're going to parse it, and we're going to say, hey, local storage is going to get this value, and it is going to be called token, auth token to be specific. Right, and then this is also going to be token subject. And again, right here, this just creates the behavior. This gives it the initial value that it has to have, and then we create an observable from this behavioral subject. So once your state changes, when people subscribe, so this gives it so that way people can subscribe and they can see what's going on. So this dot token subject is going to be, oh yeah, you just do next to update it. So you just do dot next, and then we're going to pass in a response dot token, and then elsewhere we're going to say, I don't think I like that. Oh, I said string. I forgot. So we're saying that this is the login response object. So we can just actually just put in this. I don't really like that though. But I'll stick with it for now. And then we'll just go over here, and we're gonna say this dot token. Actually, we say return. If I did this properly. So we say this dot user subject dot next, and then we're just gonna say return the stuff that came in, and the stuff that came in is called response. So we're just gonna return the response, and there we go. So now when it returns, we have something that is of the response that we want. So I'm gonna save this, and then now I have to go back over to our TS file here and make some modifications. So now I can go into the end of this thing and say dot subscribe. Should be subscribe anyway. I thought it was subscribe. So passing all the information there. So let's see what's going on up here. So they used a pipe and then mapped it. Oh, I see. So I'm actually a little lost on this one. So you're returning this, but once we make our pipe on this, so instead of subscribing to it, we're doing a dot pipe, and that creates your observable stream. And then what's happening is we're like, okay, we're gonna pipe this thing, and then and let's just go here and look at the explanation for it. I thought there would be explanation for it, but I'll walk through it once we have everything set up here. It's kind of hard to explain and do it at the same time. So we're gonna pipe it, and then we're gonna map out the user to be our response. So we got this, and then we're saying, okay, let's map this. I mean, it's like directing it, right? It's like, oops. So we're gonna map the user that's coming out of here. Well, in this case, it's our response. And I think I'm missing a comma on this. I mean, not a comma, but a quote. So we say map response, and I believe I don't need that one. And then it's taking this thing and doing other stuff with it. And this comes from RX JX. So I have to import this as well. So I think they're making me do it another way. So I have to go import map from rxjs slash operators. It's one of these things. So let's say import map rxjs. Oh, it is operators with an S. There we go. So what this does applies a given applies a given project function to each value emitted by the source observable and emits the value resulting as an observable. So pretty much this saying is it knows that we're getting more than one thing coming in. So it's allowing us to say, hey, whatever comes out of this thing, we're going to, like, for each piece of information coming in, we're going to be able to map it, deal with it individually. So similar to the well-known function, the operator applies a projection to each value and emits that projection in the output. So this is the best I can do. I can't really explain that. I haven't read that much on it. I read them. I know what I have a vague understanding of what they do, and I just take that and I'm able to work with it. Granted, you kind of have to use some other people's code, and that's just as a developer. You're gonna pull code from other people. So don't be afraid to do that. The important part is that you understand what's going on. So this is pretty much just taking what would be still information. We would just be able to work with this response, and we wouldn't have any way to subscribe to or do anything more with it. Once we go here, we're saying, okay, you're going to return. We're going to send out the response as before. That's what's happening there. But we also want to send out this. We also want to update this subject here. So that's why we had to do this way. So now if I go back over, I have to save first, and it's definitely going to give us some problems, but just give it a second and you'll see the difference. I'm thinking, he said hopingly. So let's go down to the login component, because there's still more to do. Login component templates, and login should be just below it. So now you got your login, and then so you just did the same thing to break it out. So now this is where we're gonna go ahead and say. So I'm just so used to just doing .subscribe that I pretty much don't even think before I do it. But it actually works now, as you see, because we have apparently a partial observer. So now we want to go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to spread this thing out, and the reason being is because we can either get the data, meaning the token, or we can get the error. So I don't know what exactly happened here with that first thing. So let me see if I can look at that. The login component uses the account service to log into the application on form submit. It creates the form fields and validators using an Angular form builder to create an instance of a form group that is stored in the form property. So far, this is what's going on, and they're talking about this form builder that they got here, and then they create it when it's initialized. The form is then bound to the form element in the login component template above. So this is the form element that they're talking about. And then the component contains a convenience getter property F. This thing. So it just returns whatever form control. So that way you just have this set up for the form control thing, and you can just do your dot without having to type the whole thing up. So for instance, like dot password, for instance. So that's all I see here. I don't see any explanation on what's happening down below though with the registrations. So what we can do is I'm still not even sure what this first does. So what I have to do, I'm actually have to look that up. So if I just type in first and go here, I want to see first what errors I get. So yeah, so let's import this thing and then figure out what it does. So let's go RxJS first. So I don't even know what this does, right? The counterpart to first is what? Okay. Emit the first value or the first to pass provided expression. First will deliver an empty error to the observer's error callback if the observable completes before any notification was sent. If you don't want this behavior, use take one instead. What does that do? Let's see, take. Why use take? When you are interested in only the first emission, you want to use take. Maybe you want to see what the user first clicked on when they enter a page, or you want to subscribe to the click event and just take that emission. Another use case is when you need to take a snapshot of data at a particular point in time, but do not require further emissions. For example, a stream user token updates or a root guard based on a stream on an Angular application. If you want to take a variable number of values based on some logic on another observable, you can use take until or take while. Take is the opposite of skip, where take will take the first n number of emissions, while skip will take the first n number of submissions. So I think that first is the same concept, except the fact some of the stuff where it would deliver that empty error for if something finished. And it's like if we don't want that behavior, right? First, we'll deliver an empty error to the call observable's error callback if the observable completes before any notification was sent. So that's actually kind of cool because we might be able to do something with that error, so it gives us a little bit more handling. And we got that pipe first, and we actually have a error going on there. So we just so I see it's just saying, hey, take the first thing, so take it off right off the top, and then we're going to subscribe. So we could have actually done this without having that pipe in there. So it's really up to you. And then in the subscription down here, we're saying, okay, now let's look at this data, right? So again, this service is going to return the token. So now we're saying, all right, we have the token, which is data, and we're going to use that to send off the rest of our stuff. What just happened? I think I clicked on an ad. Jeez, arms are sore. So here, I keep getting moved around. So once we get the data, we're sending. I don't see where they set any of the login URLs. So this one's going to take a little bit more to digest, but I already know where I'm navigating this to, so I'm not really too worried about that. Because they just had a return. Oh, here it is here. The return URL is this.root.snapshot.queryparams, and that's just something that they're using to send it somewhere else, but we know exactly where we're going. So what I want to do is I'm going to say data, and then the only thing I want to do with this is just do this. And then since I'm only on one line, I don't have to do the whole function setup. So I'm just going to say data, and I'm going to do this dot router, and I don't have a instance of router in here, so I'll have to get one. And I wonder if they put it in the constructor. Yep. So let's put this in the constructor. And I'll put that first. Let's go ahead and import this thing. So say this dot router dot navigate, and here we want to navigate to I think I can do this. Navigate based on the provided array of commands and a starting point. If no starting route is provided, the navigation is absolute. Returns a promise that, okay, so I believe if I just go here and if I do slash, actually I'm gonna leave it as blank, because that blank should take us to that default route, I believe. Right. So now let's go back over and look at some router docs. So let's go router dot navigate Angular, and I definitely spelled Angular wrong. So routing to views. So this is the point now that we're not necessarily routing. We're like, okay, we need to navigate somewhere else. Let's go dot navigate, and here we go. So just want to make sure I go good enough. All right, so to specify a relative route, use the navigate extras. And since we're going to be at a /admin/login, we want to go to a whole new route. We just want to go down. We just want to go to /admin. So let's check this out. Specify a relative route. You got to use the extras to say it's a relative route. If it's an absolute route, we got to do a little bit more work, seems like. To specify a relative route, use the navigation extras relative to property in the component class. Then use relative in your navigation method. After the link parameters array, which here contains items, add an object with the relative to property set to the activated route, which is this dot route. Go to items. So let's see if we can do something like absolute. Preventing unauthorized access. Use root guards to prevent users from navigating to parts of an app without authorization. The following root guards are available in Angular. Can activate it, can activate child. So this is what we're looking for, right? To use root guards, consider using component less routes, as this facilitates guarding child routes. Create a service for your guard. So again, this is a lot of reading that we're gonna have to do here. So I'm gonna take this one piece at a time and get it so we can go there, and then we'll protect it. So I believe, where was I? So let's try this relative route thing. I don't want to use a relative path because I want to just say, all right, you already know where you are. We want to go to admin. So I'm just going to do something like this, and I'm just going to leave it blank. And the reason being that I'm going to leave it blank is because in the router that we set up in the admin module, I still haven't changed the name, so let me change this name before I forget. So in this admin module, we already said what this does. This is going to go to login component, right? So now we can change this to go to dashboard component. However, again, this is going to be problematic because it's like, hey, if you are able to get to this thing, how are you going to automatically send the user to log in if they're not logged in? So that's going to be another question that I'll have to dig up and look into. But for now, hopefully I don't get any errors because yeah. So I'm just going to try to skip around it, and I'm just going to do this. Unexpected token E. in JSON. Okay, so let's see what this is. This is in the login component, I believe, line 12. Um, so it's definitely not this one. So let's look here. Let me just do Control C and see if the build itself will give us any issues. So let's give this thing some time to run. And we'll set this up. So again, this is why I said before that the front end, it's like it's it's somewhat easier because sometimes you don't have to think about really complex logic, and there's not as much to deal with, but it can be equally as hard, or if not harder, to handle this kind of stuff. Oh, and I think it had an issue parsing the JSON that we put in the service down here. So I think it's saying here on line 13, when we said that we wanted to parse the JSON and then do stuff with this, seems like it didn't like that. Because now it's saying uncaught in promise, unexpected E in JSON apposition 0, unexpected token E, new login service object. Wait, when did I do new Oh, I see. So what I did was, we have it set up right now that the login service. Wait, no, I'm sorry, got a little distracted because I noticed another error in my form. I mean, in my service. First one is that when I looked at the token instead of user, I didn't see a reference to it. So I know here, well, so this is where we link to it. However, we had some issues in other places. So let me dig down into this. So pipe user, boom, boom, boom. And then for some reason, my, my, even though I'm linking to this token just as the other one, this is the one that's saying that it's not available. Well, not that it's not available, but it's not showing anything for it. It should be showing that it's being used. So that's the part that bothers me. Oh, we gotta make this public. That's probably what it was. There we go. Since it's public now, I can see. So let's go ahead and try that. And we're here. We're probably still going to get an error because, again, we never did our call. But anyway, let's do this. What the heck? There we go. So same issue, and I'm actually still confused on what's causing it. Login component.ts line 14. So it seems like it's having an issue with the component itself, but I'm not getting much to go off with this error message. So the only thing I can do is just go ahead and grab this and see what I can find. So here, the wording of the error message corresponds to what you get from Google Chrome when you run json.parse. I know you said the server is setting content, but I'm led to believe that the response body is actually HTML. So the only thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some of that stuff out for the JSON and all that, because if I got the raw response, it would be JSON. But I don't have the response set up like that. And actually, this makes me want to look at this user. Control F user and see what they use to create this. So they're connecting to their model for this thing. So I'm not doing that, and that's why they had to parse. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna say, actually I don't know what to say that. Okay, so we don't have any JSON up in there, so we can just remove this. I don't know how I didn't see that before. And what was I trying to do here? So now I want to go to that JSON.parse. So new behavioral subject, and it's this thing that they're trying to call on it. So we're trying to call the local storage dot get item, which is this. Argument of type string is not. Oh, I see. String. So we're trying to use this login response to set to get the authorization token, and I think all token. So now when we do this, I just need to pass this thing in here, and then pass this thing in here. I'm gonna say token, right? Keep it the same for now, and actually I'll just say response, so we know. And then if I go over here, we should be good, because this response should be the login response dot token. And I believe when they so they don't have their set item. So set login storage, that set item is here. So let me do this. Grab this whole thing. Actually, so instead of doing that, I'm gonna put this right here. And we set our information there, and then now we're good, because what I could do is I could take this response and do the JSON of it, but then it would, I would have a lot more information than I need, because I could do response.token, good enough, right? At least we'll see what's going on there. So I can take this out now, and then when I do local storage dot, I wonder what happens if I just keep the response in here. It's not token. So here it's not liking it because I'm saying it needs to be a string. So I wonder what happens if I go here and say it's a string. Alright, so I have some issues there. So now we are, alright, the only thing we're sending is the value of that token. So we're not sending any user data. So if I save that, we should be working fine now. So, okay, cool. Boom, look at that. Now we do our thing here. We do our testing, testing 1, 2, 3. Log in, and we should be navigating somewhere else. And we're having some new issues that I forgot to address before. So I think what's happening here is, for some reason, it's not getting the common module stuff. Actually, yeah, that's what it is, because it doesn't know about any of the ngIf or any of that. So what I have to do is go in here and import the common module to set that up, and then I forgot to import it. Shit, what? Okay, there we go. So let's try this again. Will example.com testing 1 2 3. So what should have been happening is it should have redirected there. But now I want to check the network to see if that REST call is going. I see it there in the history, so it seems like at least the REST call is working. So let's check this stuff out. Can't bind to ng if because it isn't a known property. So I'm actually just going to copy this and take the shortcut and see what's going on here. So this is already tells if you're using RC from the module that is providing your component. So that should have done it. And did I start and stop? I don't think I did. Oh, it seems like I did do that. So I started and stopped it. In the component itself, I do. That's a tricky one. Make sure your transpiling is working and you have ngF in your code. Angular / common. Yeah, so common module is definitely imported now. Even though I imported it very high up, it should be working everywhere. So I don't even think I need that. So let's see what else we got going on here. Oh right, okay. So this is what happened. So in the Angular module, we never exported that common module. So we never made this available for anybody else. So it's kind of hogging it up. So let's save this and see if we get the same effect. And then we can see the status of everything we're doing right over here. So it's still building and trying to get everything configured properly. Seems like it's taking a little bit longer to set up. So might be an issue with it. Yeah, so I just tried again. Cannot find name. Oh, I spelled it wrong. No. Admin module. Control C. Oh, there we go. So it didn't even kick off. But we're still getting it, as you can see. Testing 1 2 3. So right here, when we hit that login, we should have been redirected to a new page. So either that or it didn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say navigate to /admin and just see what happens. So this is going to be /admin. Well, how do I have the first route set up? So let me go admin module. So if you want to go navigate another page, Angular, redirect to another page. Is that router? /show alonas. So let me see if I can find a route that I'm just gonna create another route. So I want to call this one. I'm just gonna call it test, just to see if it works. And we're gonna actually supply. This one's gonna be called test, and I'll say, all right, navigate to /test, and then we're gonna save everything. And just to see if that /test is even gonna register, since I don't have anything set up for it, did I change the component that's supposed to register with that? It's supposed to be dashboard component. So I just want to get something that's gonna help me see that dashboard component. And testing 1, 2, 3. Can't match any routes. So this is good. So now we know that we're at least that redirect was at least gonna work. So now we just gotta get the route down. And then what if we did relative to, and then we do this dot router. Specifies a route URI to use for relative navigation. For example, consider the following route configuration where the parent route has 2 children. The go function navigates to the list route by interpreting the different. Okay. Where's the go? I don't see no go. Oh, this dot route and then navigate to /list. So what am I missing here? So we're relative to. Control F relative to. Oh, this dot route. So then where's the route set up in there? So let me just look up route. Jeez. Pose route. So I don't see anything up in here that is giving us a setup. So I wonder what happens if I just do this dot route. Now it's like, what are you talking about? So let's go back to relative to. Relative to. So to specify a relative route, that I at least see something that'll give me. All right, so let's find a relative route. Relative to this dot route. After in this class, import navigation extras. Oh, okay. In this component class, import navigation extras from. I think I already did that. to then use relative to in your navigation method after the link parameters array, where which here contains items. So I think I just take the slash out of there as well. So it's just going to be test. And then I just say relative to, and I think this dot route is going to be like active link. So I think what I do is I go up into, I don't have any active links in this. And set it to the activated route, which is this dot route. So let's see if I can do Control F. Yeah, so I think what I do is do up in the, that's what I'm looking for, the constructor. Control F, constructor. Yep, there it is. So here it'd be private route, and this will be activated. Then we gotta import this thing. Boom. And then cool. So now we got this dot route. So if we save this, should be able to get it. Should be, right? Let's see. Testing 1, 2, 3, and now we're still having a problem. Cannot match any routes. Admin says login slash test. Okay, perfect. So that's good. So we know that that works. So let me take that out and now try this, because I think we had that slash in there and that's why it didn't work. So let's try again. Testing 1, 2, 3. Login. Cannot find segment test. So I think what we'll have to do is we'll have to go like slash, how did we do this? Let's go down here. So this one, it should be slash admin. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down here. So we got admin, it should be admin slash test. So that's what I'm gonna do. So let me do admin slash test. Testing 1, 2, 3. Boom. There we go. So now we're able to go over to we're able to get to the next window. And I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna take a break here. Seems like there's quite a bit of reading to do. So I'm gonna just do that and continue on sometime tonight, and then I'll update you guys tomorrow on what I was able to find and what I've done. I think it'll be more beneficial that way than you guys kind of see me run down a few dark paths. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, and we'll get back to the same thing. So don't forget to tune in at 8. And if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'd be eager to hear your opinions on how things have been going so far, and some areas that I may not have been too clear on, or some things that you want to see in the future. So leave a comment, and